Welcome back, guitarists. Today I wanted to share a simple harmonic concept that's emerged in my playing. You're listening to it right now in the improvisation that's playing in the background. It has to do with using only 3 out of the 7 available triads in any key. This sound reminds me of one of my favorite composers, Claude Debussy, who is a French composer active in the late 19th century. The term Impressionist is often applied to him because he operated and worked in the same framework that a lot of painters did who were labeled as the Impressionist movement in Paris. Now, Debussy rejected this label, but I think it's still a helpful term to use to describe the flow of his harmony and how colorful and evocative his music is. Debussy is known for using blocks of chords to describe tonalities, specifically pentatonic tonalities, and his chords function in a very different way than someone like Bach or Beethoven, who are more steeped in the classical voice leading. Debussy was more interested in, for lack of a better word, an impressionist approach to describing harmony and tonalities by using groups of free-flowing chords to describe the sound. While Bach and Beethoven are known for their strong functional harmony that's based off of the 5-to-1 relationship, Debussy is known for his more ambiguous approach to harmony, using flowing melodic chords to describe the sound as opposed to a 5-1 relationship. Though you can find functional harmony in Debussy's music, this is what sets him apart in music history and composition history. One of my favorite all-time pieces of music is La Fille aux Cheveux de Lin, or The Girl with the Flaxen Hair by Claude Debussy. You can hear in key moments of this piece, after developing long harmonic movements with modulation and a bunch of color, he chooses to sit on one tonality and explore it using these cascading chords. Here's a good example of a moment in this piece where this happens. Today we're going to explore this sound in detail, a more fundamental version of it than you hear in Debussy, but still a stepping stone to get to that sound. And I'll also share with you some ways to use this technique to harmonize diatonic melodies. If you're passionate about this topic or any of the other topics I cover in my videos, I think you'll love taking online lessons with me. I offer high-quality Zoom lessons as well as in-person lessons in Los Angeles that go deep on topics like composition, improvisation, and technique. I really believe in this traditional one-to-one teacher-to-student relationship, which is why I value my private students so much. If you're interested in learning more about studying with me or wish to apply to join my studio, you can hit the link below in the description. You'll be asked to share some information about yourself, your journey, and what you're looking for in lessons with me. In the meantime, please subscribe and hit the button below. Hit the bell so that you're immediately notified when I publish a new video. This Impressionist concept, as I'm calling it, relies on using the 2, 3, and 6 triads of any key, which are the 3 minor triads. In the key of C, that would be D minor, E minor, and A minor. Now, if you don't know these all across the neck, I suggest you pause this video and take some time to learn that. Here's what I'm talking about. Being able to play D minor like this, all around the neck in the different inversions and positions. This will help so that you can start piecing these together in melodic ways. So if you can't do that yet, this will be important to be able to participate in this video. So go ahead, brush up on that, and then come back and meet me here. If you're good with your triads up and down the neck, let's proceed. With these 3 triads, we can harmonize any note in the key of C major. So let's harmonize the scale using these 3 triads and hear what that sounds like. Keep in mind that some of these harmonized notes will have 2 different triad options. Let's harmonize the C major scale starting on the high E, which is the 3rd, with triads underneath it. That one has 2 options, as does that one. Since there's no 1 or 5, at least directly, this results in a softer, sweeter sound and a more melancholic expression of the C major scale. Interestingly enough, these 3 minor triads, the 2, 3, and 6, are the minor reflections of 1, 4, and 5. Let's check that out. So D minor comes from F, our 4 chord. E minor is the relative minor of G, our 5 chord. And A minor is the relative minor of our 1 chord, C. So in a way, this is a minor reflected version of using 1-4-5s to harmonize the key. It just results in a darker, more moody sound to my ear. To illustrate this further, I'm going to apply this concept to the melody of Amazing Grace. This melody works really well for this context because it's a diatonic melody without chromaticism, and it uses the chords 1-4-5, which give it a strong sense of key. Now, of course, I'm not going to be using 1-4-5. I'm going to be using these 2, 3, and 6 triads, but you'll be hearing the melody of Amazing Grace through the other side of the looking glass, if you will. So especially with the drone reinforcing the C major, you can really hear how colorful this is while still being familiar and recognizable. I love this sound so much. I could play with it all day. I don't really have to come up with new voicings. I can just use these triads that I've worked all my life on and reapply them in a way that's more imaginative. The trick to this sound is to also use a lot of density and to harmonize your melodies using these triads so that you achieve a sort of critical mass that is describing the sound of the key. You can hear a guitar player like Johnny Smith doing this a lot on his solo guitar recordings, especially the recording of Black, Black, Black is the color of my true love's hair. It's a beautiful recording, and you can hear him using these elementary triads in a way that's really evocative and colorful. The most important takeaway from this kind of concept is that sometimes limiting ourselves and removing options results in a more colorful sound. Think of the pentatonic scale, for instance, where by removing 2 notes that are in the diatonic scale, we achieve a very specific and useful sound for describing all sorts of tonalities. In my opinion, just using 2 or 3 of these triads to play in C major is much more effective than using all triads 1 through 7. Using 3 of the 7 available triads in a key is an example of a subtractive approach. You're not borrowing from other keys and going outside the key to look for chords to add to the key. You're actually removing options, which allows you to focus and be more intentional about your source material that you're using. Try and keep this idea in mind as you navigate your own style and what you're learning in terms of harmony. Remember that it's not always about adding stuff for color. Sometimes subtracting and excluding certain things brings things into focus and makes things more specific in a way that translates as more interesting and rich to the ear. If you can think of any other way to apply this concept, I'd love to know. Leave a comment below. I always love to hear from you guys, especially when it's musical ideas. So in the meantime, let's keep in touch. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Peace.